Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to peel back the layers on one of the most important pieces of tech out there, cloud computing. We're going to break down what it really is and finally make sense of those acronyms you hear everywhere. You know the ones, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So think about it for a second. What do Netflix, your Gmail account, and that gaming server you hop on with your friends all have in common? They feel instant, right? But behind the scenes, they're all powered by these massive, invisible systems. They all live in the cloud. But what even is that? Let's dive in. To really get why the cloud is such a game changer, we have to go back in time a little bit to what we call on-premise computing. This just means that a company had to own and run all of its own computers, its own servers, probably in a dedicated room right there in their own office. And let me tell you, this old way was a real headache. Imagine you built a fitness app. Come January, everyone with a New Year's resolution floods your app, and boom, it crashes. To stop that, you'd have to buy a ton of extra servers up front. But then what happens for the other 11 months of the year? All that expensive hardware just sits there collecting dust. What a waste. And that is the exact problem that cloud computing was created to solve. At its heart, it's pretty simple. It's about getting all your IT stuff, your servers, your storage, your databases, delivered to you on demand over the internet. And the best part? It has pay-as-you-go pricing. You're basically just renting computing power instead of owning it. The benefits here are huge, and they directly fix those old on-premise problems. There's almost no upfront cost. You only pay for what you actually use. So that fitness app in January, you can just dial up your resources in a few minutes to handle all the traffic and then dial it right back down in February. It saves a ton of money. Plus, you don't have to worry about the hardware, the maintenance, or the security. The cloud provider handles all that. Okay, so the cloud isn't just one single thing. It actually comes in a few different flavors or service models. And believe it or not, the absolute easiest way to understand them is with pizza. Yeah, you heard me, pizza. Just stick with me on this one. It makes everything super clear. So here it is, the pizza as a service analogy. Think of that old on-premise model as making a pizza completely from scratch at home. You have to manage everything. The cloud models, IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, are just different ways of getting that pizza, where somebody else does more and more of the work for you. Let's start from the bottom up. All right, first up, we have infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. Think of this as the most fundamental building block of the cloud. The provider is basically renting you the raw ingredients, the virtual servers, the storage for your data, and the networking to connect it all. It's the bare bones infrastructure. So let's look at who manages what. With IaaS, the vendor takes care of the physical hardware, the actual servers, the hard drives, all of it. But you are still in charge of everything that runs on top of it, like the operating system, all your applications, and your data. This gives you a ton of control. So in our pizza world, IaaS is like renting a professional kitchen. The provider gives you the oven, the stove, the big fancy mixer, but you have to bring your own recipe, your own ingredients, and do all the actual cooking yourself. You're in control of the final product. Okay, let's move one level up to Platform as a Service, or PaaS. Now, this is where things get even more convenient. PaaS gives developers a whole environment to build and run their applications without ever having to think about the servers or operating systems underneath. And you can see the shift right here. With PaaS, the vendor now manages way more stuff for you, including the operating system and all the development tools. This frees up developers to just focus on what they do best, writing code for their apps and managing their data. It's a huge time saver. Back to our pizza parlor. PaaS is like going to one of those places where you build your own pizza. They handle the messy parts. They give you the kitchen, the oven, even the pre-made dough. Your job is just the fun part, picking out your favorite toppings, arranging them just right, and sliding it into the oven they provide. And that brings us to the top level, the one that pretty much all of us use every single day, software as a service, or SaaS. This is when a company delivers a complete, finished application to you over the internet. You just sign up, pay a subscription, and start using it. Just look at this chart. With SaaS, what do you manage? Basically nothing. Just your account. The vendor manages literally everything else in the background. The app, the servers, the security, all of it. We're talking about things like Gmail, Dropbox, Netflix, Office 365. The list goes on and on. This, my friends, is the ultimate convenience. This is like ordering a pizza for delivery. It just shows up at your door, hot and ready to eat. You don't have to think for 1 second about how it was made, what kind of oven they used, or who drove it to your house. You just enjoy it. That's SaaS. Okay, so we've got our three models: infrastructure, platform, and software as a service. The big question now is, who are these for? Who uses what and why? This pyramid breaks it down perfectly. At the very top, you have the biggest group by far. That's us, the end customers, using all those SaaS apps every day. In the middle, you have the developers, who use PaaS as their platform to build those apps. And down at the base, you have system administrators and engineers using IaaS when they need maximum control over the raw hardware. So really, it all boils down to this one simple idea. It's a trade-off between control and convenience. If you want the most control, you go with IaaS, but that means you manage more. If you want the most convenience, you go with SaaS, but you give up that fine-grained control. And PaaS? Well, that sits right in the sweet spot in the middle. So you see, the question today really isn't if you use the cloud, because we all do. The real question is how much of it you want to manage yourself. Are you just ordering the pizza? Or are you adding your own toppings? Or are you building the entire kitchen from scratch? The choice is yours. So what will you build?